There are moments in the quiet of the night when your heart feels tired beyond words, when hope seems thin and the strength you carried all day has finally slipped from your hands. In those moments, God is not distant or disappointed. He is near, closer than your breath, watching over you with a tenderness that does not fade. As you settle into rest, let your thoughts slow, let your shoulders soften, and allow this gentle truth to settle in your spirit. When you feel like giving up, that is often the very moment God begins to move. The Bible is filled with stories of people who reached the end of themselves, people who whispered prayers through tears, people who believed they had nothing left to offer. And again, God met them there, not with anger, not with urgency, but with patience and quiet power. He has always been a God who steps into human weakness and turns it into a place of holy encounter. Tonight, as you listen, you are invited into that same sacred space. Think of Elijah, the prophet who once stood boldly before kings, calling down fire from heaven, only to later collapse beneath a broom tree in the wilderness. After great victory came deep exhaustion, and Elijah prayed not for triumph, but for rest, even for his life to end. He had given everything, and now he had nothing left. Yet God did not correct him or rush him forward. God sent an angel with bread warm from the coals and water cool and steady, and he let Elijah sleep. Sometimes the most spiritual thing God does is let you rest, reminding you that your life is sustained by grace, not effort. As the night grows quieter around you, remember that God sees every unseen battle you have fought. He knows the weight you carry, the disappointments you rarely speak aloud, the prayers that feel unanswered. He is not asking you to be strong right now. He is simply asking you to trust that even in this fragile moment, He is still writing your story. The same God who guided Elijah through the wilderness is guiding you, step by gentle step, even when the path feels unclear. There is a sacred mystery in the way God works during our weakest hours. When your strength fades, His does not. When your hope flickers, His light remains steady. Scripture reminds us that a bruised reed He will not break, and a smoldering wick He will not snuff out. You may feel like a small flame tonight, barely glowing, but in God's hands, even that quiet light is precious. Let these truths wash over you as you rest. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You are not failing because you feel weary. You are human, deeply loved by a God who specializes in meeting His children at the end of their rope and gently lifting them into His peace. As sleep begins to find you, allow your heart to whisper this simple prayer. Lord, I am tired, but I am yours. And in that surrender, find the comfort that God is already at work, even now. As you rest here in this gentle stillness, let your breathing slow and your thoughts loosen their grip. God does not rush the weary soul. He knows how fragile hope can feel when you have been strong for too long. In Scripture, we see this tenderness again and again, especially in the life of Moses. Chosen to lead, called to confront, burdened with responsibility far heavier than one man could carry. Moses reached moments when he felt completely undone. He cried out to God, confessing his exhaustion, admitting that the task was too much. And God listened. He did not shame Moses for his weakness. Instead, he shared the burden, reminding Moses that leadership was never meant to be carried alone. In the same way, God looks at you tonight and says softly, "You do not have to hold everything together by yourself." There is a holy permission in admitting you are tired. God does not withdraw when you confess your limits. He draws closer. When Moses stood at the edge of the Red Sea, with fear behind him and danger ahead, there was no visible path forward. Panic filled the air, and surrender felt inevitable. Yet that moment, when escape seemed impossible, became the place where God revealed his power. The sea parted not when Moses felt brave, but when he trusted God with trembling hands. Sometimes deliverance comes only after we admit there is no way forward without him. As your mind begins to quiet, remember that God often waits for the noise to fade before he speaks. Elijah learned this when he stood on the mountain, listening for God in the wind, the earthquake, and the fire. But God was not in the dramatic display. He came in a gentle whisper. When life feels overwhelming, God's voice is not always loud. It is calm, steady, and close. You may not feel it now, but even in this silence, God is speaking peace over you. Think of Hannah, pouring out her heart in the temple, misunderstood and broken, praying so deeply that words failed her. She was at the end of her strength, at the end of her hope, and God saw her. Her prayer did not echo loudly, but it reached heaven. God did not forget her tears. In time, he answered in ways beyond her imagining. Tonight, your quiet prayers matter just as much. Every unspoken ache is known to him. When you feel like giving up, it does not mean you lack faith. It often means you have been faithful for a very long time. God honors perseverance, especially when it is hidden and unseen. He collects your tears, Scripture tells us, and not one moment of your endurance is wasted. Even now, as sleep begins to cradle you, God is working in places you cannot see. Let your body rest without guilt. Let your heart unclench. You are not responsible for tomorrow tonight. God already stands in your future, holding what you cannot. As you drift deeper into rest, allow this truth to settle gently within you. God does some of his most beautiful work when his children finally lay down their burdens and trust him with the outcome. As the night deepens and the world grows quieter, let your heart lean into the truth that God has always done his most tender work in the shadows of weariness. There is a reason so many sacred encounters happened at night, in prisons, in deserts, in places where human strength had finally run out. God is not intimidated by darkness. He is not confused by your exhaustion. He does not step back when you feel empty. He steps closer, wrapping His presence around you like a blanket that warms without weighing you down. Think of Paul and Silas, chained in a prison cell, bodies bruised, future uncertain, every reason to despair. They had obeyed God, served faithfully, and still found themselves confined and hurting. Yet in the middle of the night, they began to sing. Not because everything was okay, but because they trusted that God was still present, even when nothing made sense. And God responded, not only by opening prison doors, but by bringing salvation to hearts that were listening in the dark. Sometimes your quiet endurance becomes a testimony long before you ever see the deliverance. There are seasons when obedience leads through valleys instead of victories, and those seasons can feel confusing and unfair. But God never wastes a moment of your faithfulness. Every tear, every whispered prayer, every step taken while weary is known to Him. He sees what others never notice. He understands the courage it takes to simply keep going when joy feels distant. And He honors that courage with His presence, steady and unchanging. As your breathing grows slower, imagine God sitting beside you, not speaking loudly, not demanding anything, simply being with you. Scripture tells us that He is a God who keeps watch, who neither slumbers nor sleeps. While your body rests, He remains attentive, guarding your heart, holding your worries, watching over every detail of your life with loving care. You are safe to let go tonight. You are safe to sleep. Remember Job, who lost more than words can describe, who questioned and lamented, who sat in ashes with grief heavy on his shoulders. God did not immediately explain the pain or rush to fix everything. Instead, He revealed Himself. And in that revelation, Job found that knowing God was enough to sustain him even before circumstances changed. Sometimes God does not answer our why questions right away, but He answers our need for Him. You may be longing for clarity, for relief, for a sign that things will get better. And while God does work in powerful ways, He also works quietly, steadily, like roots growing deep beneath the soil. You may not see the progress, but growth is happening, healing is happening, restoration is happening. Even now, as sleep draws nearer, God is weaving together what feels broken, preparing a future filled with grace. There is a sacred rest that comes when you finally accept that you are not the one holding the world together. God is. He always has been. He invites you to lay down your need to control, your fear of the unknown, your regret over what you could not fix. In His hands, those burdens become lighter. In His presence, your soul finds room to breathe again. Think of Jesus in the garden, overwhelmed with sorrow, praying through anguish so deep that sweat fell like drops of blood. Even the Son of God experienced the weight of human despair. Yet He entrusted Himself to the Father, surrendering not because it was easy, but because love was stronger than fear. When you feel overwhelmed, remember that Jesus understands. He is not distant from your pain. He has walked through it. Tonight you are invited to rest in that understanding. You do not have to explain yourself to God. You do not have to have the right words. Your tiredness speaks for you. Your sighs are prayers. And God listens with compassion that never runs out. Let your thoughts drift gently, like leaves floating on still water. Tomorrow will come when it comes. Strength will rise when it is needed. For now there is only this moment, this quiet assurance that you are deeply loved, completely known, and never abandoned. When you feel like giving up, remember this: God has already shown up, and He is staying with you through the night. As the hours pass quietly and the world outside seems to hold its breath, there is a sacred kindness in knowing that God remains awake, attentive to every stirring of your heart. Long before you ever knew how to pray, before you understood how to hope, He was already watching over you. He has seen every chapter of your life, the joyful beginnings, the painful middles, and the uncertain pauses where nothing seemed to move. And through it all, His love has not shifted, not even slightly. It is steady, patient, and deeply personal. There are times when life feels like a long waiting room where answers feel delayed and relief seems distant. In those seasons, it is easy to believe that nothing is happening, that your prayers are floating into silence, but Scripture gently reminds us that waiting is not wasted time. Abraham waited years for the promise God spoke over his life, years filled with questions and moments of doubt. Yet God was faithful, shaping Abraham's heart while preparing the fulfillment. The waiting did not mean God had forgotten. It meant He was working on a timeline shaped by wisdom and love, not haste. As you lie here resting, perhaps you are in a season of waiting too, waiting for healing, for direction, for peace to return. God sees that longing, holds it with care, and even now He is doing something meaningful beneath the surface of your life. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not unfolding. There is a gentle strength in God's presence that does not overwhelm or demand. It simply is. Like a steady hand on your back when you are too tired to stand. Like a quiet reassurance that you do not have to solve everything tonight. Jesus once said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He did not say, "Come once you have figured it out," or "Come once you are strong again." He said, "Come as you are, tired, worn, unsure." That invitation still stands for you right now. Think of Peter, stepping out onto the water, faith rising for a moment before fear took hold. When he began to sink, he did not recite a long prayer. He simply cried out, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus reached out His hand. Peter's weakness did not disqualify him from help. It positioned him to receive it. When you feel like you are sinking under the weight of life, your simple cry reaches the heart of God just as quickly. God is not measuring your faith tonight. He is not keeping score of how well you have endured. He is offering Himself to you in this moment, exactly as you are. There is no disappointment in His eyes when He looks at you, only compassion. He understands the toll of carrying too much for too long. He understands the ache of unanswered prayers, and He understands the quiet courage it takes to keep going when you feel empty. As sleep draws closer, allow your muscles to relax, your jaw to soften, your thoughts to slow. Imagine placing every concern into God's hands, one by one. The things you cannot fix, the conversations you replay, the fears about tomorrow, you do not have to carry them through the night. God is more than capable of holding them for you. There is a promise woven throughout Scripture that God draws near to the brokenhearted, not after they are healed, not once they feel better, but right in the middle of their brokenness. That closeness is not conditional. It is a gift, and it is yours tonight. Let yourself rest in that closeness. Let it be enough that God is with you, even if circumstances have not changed yet, even if answers are still forming. His presence is a shelter, a quiet place where your soul can breathe again. You may not feel strong, you may not feel hopeful, but you are held, and that is more than enough for now. When you feel like giving up, remember this gentle truth as you drift toward sleep. God has already arrived in your weakness, and He will not leave you there. As the quiet continues to stretch around you, there is a gentle reminder, whispered through the stillness. God has never been absent from your story, not even in the chapters that felt empty or painful. There are pages written in tears, lines shaped by disappointment, moments where faith felt thin and fragile. Yet even those moments are held within His loving gaze. He does not skip over them or rush past them. He stays patiently, compassionately, weaving meaning where you once saw only loss. There are nights when memories surface uninvited, when the past feels close and heavy. Regrets, missed opportunities, words you wish you could take back, paths you wish had turned out differently. God is not surprised by any of it. He knew every choice, every outcome, every wound, long before you ever felt them. And still He chose you. Still He called you His own. Still He promised never to leave you nor forsake you. That promise was not dependent on your perfection. It was anchored in His faithfulness. Consider Jacob, alone in the wilderness, running from his mistakes, carrying guilt and fear into an uncertain future. He lay down to sleep, with nothing but a stone for a pillow, believing he was far from everything familiar and safe. Yet that night, God met him in a dream, opening heaven above him, reminding him that even in exile, he was not abandoned. Jacob woke with awe, realizing that God had been there all along. Sometimes the places we least expect become holy ground, simply because God chooses to meet us there. If you feel far from where you thought you would be by now, God is not discouraged by that distance. He works within it. He walks with you through it. He transforms detours into sacred pathways, turning what feels like delay into preparation. You may not see the purpose yet, but God's hand is steady, guiding you with wisdom that reaches beyond your understanding. As your body grows heavier with rest, let go of the pressure to have everything resolved. God does not ask you to carry clarity into the night. He asks you to trust Him with the unknown. There is freedom in admitting you do not have all the answers. There is peace in allowing God to be God, while you simply rest as His beloved child. Think of Ruth choosing faithfulness in the midst of loss, stepping into an unfamiliar land with no guarantee of provision. She could not see how her story would unfold, only that love and loyalty mattered in the present moment. God honored that quiet faithfulness, weaving her story into something far greater than she could have imagined. In the same way, your small acts of trust, your decision to keep going even when weary, are seen and treasured by God. God is deeply attentive to the gentle moments of your life, the ones that never make headlines, the ones no one applauds, the quiet prayers whispered before sleep, the tears wiped away in solitude, the choice to hope again after disappointment. These moments matter. They are seeds planted in faith, and God brings growth in His time. As sleep begins to claim your thoughts, remember that rest itself is an act of trust. When you close your eyes, you are declaring that God will continue working even while you are still. That the world will not fall apart without your constant effort. That your life is held by hands far stronger and kinder than your own. This trust pleases God more than endless striving ever could. There may be pain in your heart that has lingered for a long time, wounds that feel slow to heal. God is patient with that pain. He does not rush healing or minimize sorrow. He walks with you through it, offering comfort that settles gently rather than overwhelming. His presence does not erase grief, but it makes space for hope to breathe again. Think of Mary, holding sorrow and promise together, standing at the foot of the cross, heartbreaking while trusting God's greater plan. Even in the deepest grief, God was at work, bringing resurrection out of death, light out of darkness. Your pain, too, is not the end of the story. God specializes in bringing new life where hope feels lost. Tonight, you are invited to lay your heart down gently, without fear. God is not finished with you. He is not frustrated by your tiredness. He is not distant from your questions. He is close, attentive, and deeply committed to your well-being. Let your breathing grow slow and even. Let your thoughts drift without resistance. You are safe to rest. You are safe to release control. You are safe in the care of a God who never grows weary, who never turns away, who shows up most clearly when you feel like giving up. As sleep wraps around you, carry this quiet assurance into your dreams. God is with you. God is for you. And even now, in ways unseen, He is gently guiding you toward a future filled with grace as the night carries you deeper into its quiet embrace. There is a softness in knowing that God is not asking anything of you right now except to be still. You have carried enough today. You have tried enough. You have endured enough. This moment is not about striving or fixing or understanding. It is about being held. God's love is not a task to complete. It is a place to rest. There are times when the soul becomes so tired that even prayer feels heavy, when words seem unnecessary and effort feels impossible. God understands that kind of weariness. Scripture tells us that the Spirit Himself intercedes for us with groans too deep for words. Even when you cannot pray, heaven is still moving on your behalf. Even when your mind is quiet and your heart feels numb, God is still listening, still caring, still present. Think of the Israelites wandering in the desert, moving slowly beneath the sun, uncertain of how long the journey would last. There were days when discouragement settled in, when hunger and fear made them question everything. Yet each morning, God provided manna, just enough for that day. Not an abundance to store away, not a solution for the entire journey, but daily provision. God often meets us the same way. He gives enough strength for now, enough grace for today, enough peace for this moment. Tomorrow's needs will be met when tomorrow arrives. As you rest, let go of the expectation that you must feel better right away. Healing is not always immediate. Sometimes it is gradual, unfolding quietly, layer by layer. God is not in a hurry with your heart. He knows how tender it is. He knows where it has been wounded. And He works with patience that feels almost sacred in its gentleness. There may be a part of you that feels disappointed in God, even if you are afraid to admit it. Disappointed that things did not turn out the way you hoped. Disappointed that prayers seemed unanswered. God is not offended by your honesty. He welcomes it. The Psalms are filled with cries of confusion, frustration, and longing. God preserved those words because He wanted you to know that your feelings are not a barrier to Him. They are a bridge. Remember Jeremiah, the prophet who spoke truth faithfully, yet felt isolated and overwhelmed. He lamented, he wept, he questioned. And still, God called him beloved, chosen, known before birth. Your doubts do not cancel your calling. Your weariness does not erase your worth. God's commitment to you is deeper than your understanding of Him. As your breathing becomes slow and even, imagine God gently lifting the weight from your chest. Not all at once, not dramatically, but carefully, like someone who knows exactly how much you can release right now. You do not need to empty yourself completely. Just enough to breathe easier, just enough to rest. There is a holy safety in the presence of God, a sense that you are allowed to be unfinished, unpolished, uncertain. He is not waiting for you to become someone else. He delights in who you are, even in your tiredness, especially in your tiredness, because it is there that trust becomes simple, quiet, and real. Think of the woman who reached out to touch the hem of Jesus' garment, believing that even the smallest connection would be enough. She was exhausted, overlooked, worn down by years of suffering, and Jesus noticed her. He stopped. He called her daughter. He affirmed her faith. God notices you too. Even when your faith feels small, even when your hope feels thin, even when all you can do is reach out weakly. As sleep draws closer, let your mind release the images of struggle and replace them with the gentle assurance of God's nearness. He is closer than the fears that trouble you, closer than the questions that keep you awake, closer than the memories that ache. His presence surrounds you, steady and calm. You may not know what tomorrow holds. You may feel uncertain about what lies ahead, but you do not face it alone. God will meet you there just as faithfully as He meets you here. His mercy renews with each morning. His compassion does not run out. His strength does not diminish. Tonight, it is enough to rest, enough to breathe, enough to be loved without earning it. You are safe to let go, safe to sleep, safe to trust that even while you rest, God continues to work in ways you cannot yet see. As you drift gently into sleep, hold this truth close to your heart. When you feel like giving up, when your strength is gone and your hope feels quiet, God is not stepping away. He is drawing nearer, He is staying, and He will carry you through this night and into the light of a new day. As the night gently unfolds, there is a sacred hush settling over everything that has weighed on you. In this quiet, God is not far away, not watching from a distance, but resting His attention on you with a love that feels steady and sure. You may feel fragile right now, like everything inside you has softened under the weight of too many days that ask too much. Yet, fragility is not failure. In God's hands, it becomes tenderness, openness, a place where His comfort can finally reach you. There are seasons when strength looks different than we expect. Sometimes it is not the courage to push forward, but the humility to stop. Not the determination to endure one more task, but the willingness to say, I cannot do this alone. God honors that honesty. He has never asked His children to be endlessly strong. He has only asked them to trust Him with their weakness. Think of Gideon, hiding in fear, threshing wheat in secret, convinced he was the least among his people. When God called him mighty, Gideon could hardly believe it. He saw only his limitations. But God saw what Gideon could become through grace. God did not wait for Gideon to feel brave. He met him right where he was, speaking courage into a heart that felt small. In the same way, God sees beyond what you feel tonight. He sees the quiet strength forming within you, even now. As your breathing grows slow and deep, let that truth settle gently into your soul. God is not discouraged by how small your faith feels. He works beautifully with small beginnings. A mustard seed, a whispered prayer, a tired surrender at the end of the day. These are the places where His power rests most naturally. There may be parts of your story that feel unresolved, chapters that seem to linger without conclusion. God is not anxious about unfinished things. He is patient. He is careful. He knows how to bring meaning out of moments that feel incomplete. What feels like delay to you may be protection. What feels like silence may be preparation. God's timing is not shaped by urgency, but by love. As you lie here, wrapped in stillness, allow yourself to release the need to understand everything. Understanding will come when it is needed. For now, peace is enough. Rest is enough. Trusting that God is with you is enough. You do not have to reach clarity before you rest. God will meet you wherever you are. There is something deeply comforting in knowing that God remains constant, even when emotions rise and fall. His love does not fluctuate with your mood. His promises do not weaken when your hope feels thin. He remains faithful through every high and low, every confident prayer, and every tired sigh. You are held by something far steadier than your feelings. Think of the prodigal son, rehearsing his failures as he walked home, expecting rejection, prepared for distance. Yet his father ran to meet him, embracing him before explanations could form. God's heart toward you is the same. He does not wait for perfect words or perfect faith. He moves toward you with compassion, eager to restore, eager to welcome, eager to remind you that you belong. Tonight, you belong here in this quiet moment, resting in God's presence. You are not required to earn peace. It is given. You are not required to prove your worth. It is already established. You are not required to fix what feels broken. God is already at work there. As sleep begins to deepen, imagine God gently guarding your thoughts, calming the restless places, softening the sharp edges of worry. Imagine His peace settling over you like a warm covering, steady and reassuring. Nothing is demanded of you now. Nothing is expected. You are safe to simply be. You may wake tomorrow, still facing challenges, still walking through uncertainty, but you will not face it alone. God will go before you, behind you, and beside you. His grace will meet you in the morning just as faithfully as it meets you tonight. One step at a time, one breath at a time. For now, let the night hold you. Let rest come naturally. Let your heart lean into the promise that has carried so many before you. That when human strength runs out, God's presence does not. It draws closer. It holds firmer. It remains. As you drift into sleep, let this final whisper remain with you, gentle and sure. You are deeply loved, endlessly seen, and carefully carried by a God who shows up most tenderly when you feel like giving up. Like as the quiet stretches on and the night wraps itself more fully around you, there is a deep gentleness in realizing that God is not waiting for you on the other side of your exhaustion. He is sitting with you inside it. He is not tapping His foot, not urging you to hurry, not disappointed that you are still tired. He knows how long this road has been. He knows how much you have carried. And He remains with you, patient and unshaken, offering rest without conditions. There are moments when life slowly drains the color from things you once loved, when joy feels muted and even faith feels heavy. In those moments, it can feel frightening to admit how empty you are. Yet God is never afraid of emptiness. In Scripture, He speaks light into darkness, life into dry bones, hope into barren places. Emptiness is not the end. It is often the place where God begins again. Think of the valley of dry bones that Ezekiel saw, lifeless and scattered, bleached by time and loss. Nothing about that valley suggested hope, and yet God asked a quiet question. Can these bones live? Human logic would say no. But God breathed, and what was dead stirred, stood, and lived again. In the same way, God sees parts of you that feel dried out, discouraged, or long untouched by joy. He does not despair over them. He breathes life where you see only loss. As your body rests more deeply, allow your soul to believe that God is not finished with any part of you. Not the parts that feel broken, not the parts that feel numb, not the parts that feel ashamed for being tired. His grace reaches all of it. His love surrounds all of it. Nothing about you tonight is beyond His care. There is a sacred reassurance in knowing that God's presence is not loud or forceful. It does not overwhelm the senses or demand immediate change. It is steady, calm, and deeply reassuring. Like a lighthouse standing firm while waves crash and winds howl, God remains unchanged by the storms within you. You can rest against that steadiness without fear. Perhaps you have wondered if your weariness is a sign that you are failing, that you should be stronger by now, more healed by now, more certain by now. God does not speak that language. He does not measure your worth by your energy or your progress. He measures by love, and His love for you has not diminished one bit. Think of Lazarus wrapped in grave clothes, 4 days gone, hope seemingly sealed away. Jesus did not arrive in a hurry. He arrived with intention. He wept. He stood close. And then He called Lazarus by name. Even when it feels like hope has been buried for too long, God still knows your name. He still calls life forward in His perfect time. As your breathing remains slow and peaceful, let go of the fear that this tiredness will last forever. This moment, this season, is not the whole story. God has written chapters of renewal, joy, and peace that you have not yet read. You do not need to see them now. It is enough to trust that they exist. There is a quiet bravery in resting when everything in you wants to stay alert, worried, prepared for the worst. Rest is an act of faith. It says, I trust God to hold what I cannot. It says, I believe His care continues even when my eyes close. That faith, even if it feels small, is precious to Him. Imagine God watching over you now, not with scrutiny, but with affection, like a loving parent watching a child finally fall asleep after a long, difficult day. There is no judgment in His gaze, only relief that you are resting, that you are safe, that you are finally letting go. You may still carry questions. You may still feel uncertain about the path ahead. But tonight is not for answers. Tonight is for rest. Tomorrow will bring what it brings, and God will meet you there just as faithfully as He meets you here. His mercy will be new. His strength will be available. His presence will remain. Let your thoughts drift softly now, without effort or resistance. If worries arise, imagine gently placing them into God's hands, trusting Him to care for them through the night. You are not abandoning responsibility. You are entrusting it to someone who loves you deeply. As sleep settles more fully, Allow this truth to sink into the deepest places of your heart. When you feel like giving up, when you have reached the end of your own strength, God does not pull away. He draws near. He stays. He carries you when you cannot carry yourself. Rest now. Breathe deeply. You are held. You are known. You are deeply loved by a God who never leaves, especially in the moments when you need Him most. As the night continues its slow, gentle rhythm, there is a quiet mercy unfolding around you. God is not in a hurry with your heart. He is not counting how many nights you have felt this tired or how many times you have whispered the same prayer. He is simply here, steady and faithful, offering you a place to rest that does not depend on how well you are doing. In His presence, you are allowed to be exactly as you are. There are seasons when the soul feels worn thin, when emotions feel dulled and the future feels foggy. In those seasons, it can feel like you are losing something essential, like joy or clarity has slipped quietly away. But God has not lost sight of you. He has not misplaced the joy that feels distant or the peace that seems unreachable. He knows where it rests, and He knows when to restore it. Nothing good that God has planted in you is gone forever. Think of Naomi, returning home empty after years of loss, believing her story had ended in bitterness. She could not see the quiet faithfulness of Ruth beside her, nor the future God was already preparing. Naomi named her pain honestly, yet God gently rewrote her story, filling her hands again with life and hope. Even when you believe your best days are behind you, God is still working ahead of you. As your body rests more deeply, let your heart be reminded that God's goodness is not dependent on your current circumstances. It flows from who He is, not from how things feel. His character does not change when your emotions do. His promises do not weaken when your strength fades. He remains the same, faithful and kind, watching over you with a care that never grows tired. There may be a part of you that feels unseen, like your quiet endurance has gone unnoticed. God sees it all. The small choices to keep going, the nights you made it through when you thought you could not, the prayers whispered through exhaustion. Heaven does not overlook these moments. God treasures them. They are woven into your story with purpose and care. As the quiet deepens, imagine God gently reminding you that you do not have to carry your burdens with clenched fists. You can loosen your grip. You can rest your hands. You can trust that what matters most is safe with Him. He is capable of holding what feels too heavy for you tonight. Think of the shepherds watching their flocks in the darkness, ordinary and unnoticed, when suddenly heaven broke into their night with good news. God chose the quiet hours, the overlooked people, the stillness of night to announce hope entering the world. He still works that way. He still brings light into ordinary, weary moments. He still meets people where they are. If you feel small or insignificant right now, know that God delights in working through what the world overlooks. He draws near to the humble, the tired, the ones who feel like they have nothing left to give. Your weakness does not push him away, it draws him closer. As sleep wraps more fully around you, allow yourself to trust that God is guarding your rest. He is calming what needs to be calmed, holding what needs to be held, and watching over every detail with quiet faithfulness. You do not need to stay alert. You do not need to brace yourself. God is on watch. There is a deep peace available when you remember that God has carried others through nights like this before. You are not alone in your weariness. You are not the first to feel like giving up. And you will not be the last to discover that God meets his children most tenderly when they are at their weakest. Let your thoughts drift gently now, like clouds passing slowly across a quiet sky. If worries surface, let them pass without judgment. God knows them already. He is not overwhelmed by them. He is not confused by them. He is steady and sure, holding your life with care. As you settle deeper into sleep, allow this truth to sink into the deepest places of your heart. You are not abandoned in this tiredness. You are accompanied. You are not failing because you feel weary. You are human, deeply loved, and carefully watched over by a God who never leaves. Rest now. Let go. Tomorrow will come in its own time, and God will meet you there. For now, it is enough to sleep in the assurance that when you felt like giving up, God did not step back. He stayed close, carrying you through the quiet hours of the night. As the night grows even quieter and your body sinks more deeply into rest, there is a gentle truth unfolding beneath every breath you take. God has not misjudged you. He has not overestimated your strength or underestimated the weight you carry. He knows exactly how much this season has asked of you, and he is not disappointed that you feel tired. He is compassionate, he is attentive, and he is close. There are times when endurance itself feels like a heavy task, when simply waking up and moving through the day requires more courage than anyone can see. In those moments, it can feel like faith has become fragile, like hope is something you can no longer hold tightly. But God does not require you to grip hope with clenched hands. He is willing to hold it for you until your strength returns. Think of Jesus walking with the disciples on the road to Emmaus after the resurrection. They were confused, grieving, and disillusioned, believing everything they had hoped for was lost. They did not recognize him at first. Yet he walked with them patiently, listening to their sorrow, allowing them to speak freely. He did not correct them right away. He stayed with them in their confusion. God still walks that way with his children, staying close, even when recognition comes slowly. If you feel uncertain, unsure of where God is or what he is doing, know that his presence does not depend on your awareness. He is near whether you feel him or not. He is working whether you understand it or not. And his care does not lessen when your faith feels quiet or tired. As your breathing remains slow and steady, allow yourself to rest in the idea that God is not asking you to produce anything tonight. Not clarity, not solutions, not courage. Just rest. Just stillness. Just trust enough to let go for a little while. That alone is an offering He receives with tenderness. There may be moments when fear rises unexpectedly, when the mind begins to race through worst-case scenarios or old wounds. When that happens, remember that God's love is not fragile. It does not shatter under fear. It remains strong, anchoring you even when thoughts feel unsteady. You are not required to conquer fear tonight. You are simply invited to rest while God holds you steady. Think of the children of Israel standing at Mount Sinai, trembling, unsure, overwhelmed by the magnitude of God's presence. God did not ask them to climb higher than they could bear. He met them where they were. He always does. He meets you where you are, not where you think you should be. As sleep deepens, let your heart release the belief that you must always be resilient, always composed, always hopeful. God did not design you to live without rest. He built rest into creation itself. He understands the rhythm of effort and restoration, and He calls you gently into that rhythm now. You may still feel unanswered questions lingering in your heart. You may still feel pain that has not yet subsided. God is not ignoring those things. He is tending to them with care that extends beyond a single night. Healing often continues quietly, even while you sleep. Imagine God watching over you now, not with urgency, but with peace. His presence is not tense or anxious. It is calm, confident, and full of assurance. Nothing about your life tonight is outside His care. Nothing is slipping through His fingers. Let your thoughts slow even more now. Let your body grow heavy and warm. Let the night hold you as God holds you. You are safe here. You are seen here. You are loved here. And as sleep finally takes you, let this gentle promise remain in the depths of your heart. When you felt like giving up, when you had nothing left to offer, God did not step away. He stayed close. He carried you, and He will still be there when you wake. As the final hours of night settle softly around you, there is a sacred calm unfolding, as though heaven itself has leaned close to whisper reassurance into the quiet. God is not distant from this moment. He is not waiting for daylight to return before He cares. He is present here, now, in the stillness, in the slowing of your breath, in the gentle surrender of your body to rest. This is not a forgotten hour. It is a cherished one. There are seasons when the heart grows tired in ways that words cannot fully explain, and not just physical exhaustion, but a deep soul weariness that comes from carrying hope through disappointment, faith through silence, love through loss. God understands that weariness. He recognizes it instantly because He has watched every step that led you here. He has seen the strength you poured out, the resilience you summoned when it felt impossible, the quiet bravery it took to keep going when everything inside you wanted to stop. In Scripture, there is a promise that God gives rest to His beloved while they sleep. not because they have earned it, not because they have done everything right, but because they are loved. Rest is not a reward for performance. It is a gift of grace. Tonight, that gift is yours. Think of Samuel, a young boy lying down in the temple, unaware that God was about to speak his name. God chose the stillness of the night, the vulnerability of sleep, to call him. God often speaks most gently when we are no longer striving to hear him. Even now, as your thoughts grow quiet, God's presence surrounds you, attentive and kind. You may feel like you have reached the end of what you can give. That is not a failure. It is a threshold. Over and over again, Scripture reveals that when human strength ends, divine help begins in new and unexpected ways. The widow with empty jars, the disciples with too little bread, the shepherd with only a sling. God delights in stepping into moments where the outcome depends entirely on him. As your body rests more deeply, allow your heart to loosen its grip on fear. Fear often grows loud in exhaustion, whispering that things will never change, that relief will never come. But fear is not a prophet. It does not know the plans God is still unfolding. It does not see the ways God is already moving on your behalf. There is a quiet ministry that happens while you sleep. God restores what has been depleted. He renews strength at levels you cannot consciously reach. He tends to wounds that have resisted healing during waking hours. Even now, his Spirit is at work within you, not dramatically, not urgently, but faithfully. Think of Jonah, asleep in the middle of a storm, unaware of how close he was to both danger and deliverance. God did not abandon him to the waves. Even in his running, even in his resistance, God prepared rescue. Your story, too, is surrounded by God's intention. No part of your life is drifting without purpose. As the night holds you, remember that God's love does not waver with your emotions. It does not retreat when you feel numb or distant. It remains constant and sure, anchoring you through every rise and fall. You are not required to feel peaceful to be at peace. Peace is given, not achieved. Let your breathing remain slow and gentle. Let your shoulders sink. Let the tension ease. You are not missing anything by resting. You are not falling behind. You are participating in trust. You are allowing God to be God while you simply receive care. There may be a quiet fear that this tiredness defines you, that this struggle is who you are now. But this is not your identity. This is a season, a moment, a chapter that will one day be read with understanding and grace. God is writing beyond what you can see, shaping a future that holds restoration and joy. As sleep deepens, imagine God surrounding you with light, not harsh or blinding, but warm and steady. Imagine him guarding your rest, calming every anxious thought, holding every unanswered question. Nothing about you tonight is too small for his attention or too heavy for his care. You are not alone in this quiet. You are not abandoned in this weariness. You are deeply loved, carefully watched over, and gently carried by a God who shows up most clearly when you feel like giving up. Rest now, let go. Tomorrow will come with its own grace. For this moment, it is enough to sleep in the assurance that God is with you, and He always will be. As the silence settles more deeply, there is a holy tenderness in realizing that nothing is being asked of you now. No effort, no answers, no courage you have to summon from an empty place. God is not waiting for you to become stronger before He stays close. He is already here, steady and patient, surrounding you with a presence that does not fade with the night. There is a kind of exhaustion that comes not from doing too little, but from caring deeply for a very long time, loving people who did not understand, holding hope through repeated disappointment, carrying responsibility quietly without relief. God sees that kind of weariness. He honors it. He does not minimize it or rush it away. He meets it with compassion that feels almost like a soft hand resting gently on your heart. In the Bible, there are moments when God chooses to reveal Himself not through power, but through nearness. When Hagar fled into the wilderness, overwhelmed and unseen, God met her there and called her by name. She gave Him a name in return: the God who sees me. That truth remains unchanged. God sees you now, not just your faith, but your fatigue, not just your prayers, but your pain. And He does not turn away. As your breathing grows slow and rhythmic, allow your thoughts to loosen their hold. You do not need to review the day or rehearse tomorrow. Those moments will come when they are meant to. For now there is only rest and the quiet assurance that God is watching over you with care that never grows weary. There may be places in your heart where disappointment has settled quietly, where expectations once lived and now feel distant. God is not threatened by your disappointment. He understands it. Even Jesus wept at the tomb of Lazarus, though He knew resurrection was coming. God is not indifferent to your sorrow. He stands within it, sharing it, holding space for it until hope can rise again. Think of the psalmist who cried out from deep places, who questioned and lamented, who confessed fear and longing openly before God. Those words were not hidden. They were preserved, honored, and cherished. God values honest hearts more than polished prayers. Your quiet sighs tonight are heard just as clearly as any spoken words. As sleep draws closer, let your body feel heavy in the best possible way, supported and unburdened. Let your hands relax. Let your jaw soften. Let the tension you have carried begin to ease. God is not asking you to fix what feels broken tonight. He is asking you to rest in His care. There is a deep kindness in remembering that God does not abandon His work halfway through. What He has begun in you, He will continue, even when progress feels slow, even when growth feels invisible, even when you feel like nothing is changing. God is faithful to complete what He starts, and His timing is guided by wisdom, far gentler than urgency. You may feel like you are standing at the edge of your strength, unsure how much longer you can hold on. God does not ask you to hold on alone. He invites you to lean, to rest, to be carried when walking feels too heavy. His arms do not tire. His presence does not weaken. He remains strong when you cannot be. As the quiet deepens, imagine God covering you with peace, not a shallow calm, but a deep, steady assurance that you are safe. Safe to sleep, safe to let go, safe to trust that even now, in this stillness, your life is held with intention and love. There will be a morning. There will be new mercy. There will be strength for whatever awaits you. But for now, this moment is enough. This rest is enough. This nearness is enough. Let yourself drift gently without resistance. You are not missing anything. You are not falling behind. You are exactly where you need to be, held by a God who shows up most faithfully when you feel like giving up. Rest now, dear soul. God is with you through the night, and He will still be there when you wake. As the night breathes slowly around you, there is a quiet holiness in this moment that does not ask to be understood. God is not rushing to explain Himself. He is resting with you in the stillness, offering presence instead of answers, comfort instead of clarity. And in many ways, that is exactly what your heart needs right now. Not solutions, not explanations, just the assurance that you are not alone in this tired place. There is a kind of surrender that happens only when we are too weary to pretend anymore. When striving falls away. When the soul stops performing and simply rests. God cherishes that surrender, not because it is dramatic, but because it is honest. It is the place where trust becomes quiet and real, where faith no longer needs to prove itself. It simply breathes. Think of Jesus asleep in the boat while the storm raged around Him, waves crashing, wind howling, panic rising in the hearts of those around Him. And yet He slept. Not because the storm was harmless, but because He trusted the Father completely. That same peace is being offered to you now, not the absence of storms, but the presence of God within them. You may feel like your life has been shaped by too many hard seasons back to back, like rest has always been just out of reach. God knows that rhythm. He sees the way exhaustion has layered itself over time, quietly accumulating until even small things feel heavy. He is not blind to that. He is responding with gentleness, inviting you into rest that reaches deeper than sleep. As your body lies still, let your soul hear this truth clearly. You are not weak because you need rest. You are human, and God designed you with rhythms of renewal in mind. He does not admire burnout. He does not celebrate depletion. He delights in restoration. There are moments in Scripture when God's people reached a breaking point and assumed they were done, that their usefulness had ended. Moses struck the rock in frustration. Peter denied Jesus in fear. Elijah asked God to take his life in despair, and yet none of these moments marked the end of God's work. They became turning points, places where grace met failure and transformed it into something deeper, humbler, and more beautiful. Your tiredness does not disqualify you. Your discouragement does not cancel your calling. Your weariness is not a sign that God has stepped away. It is often the sign that you have been faithful longer than anyone sees, and God is drawing you into a season of care. As sleep pulls you closer, imagine God gently standing guard over your heart. Not with anxiety, but with confidence. He is not worried about what tomorrow holds. He is already there. He is not stressed by what feels unresolved. He is already working within it. Nothing about your life is spiraling beyond his reach. If thoughts try to pull you back into worry, let them pass gently. You do not need to wrestle them away. Just return to your breath, slow, steady. A reminder that you are alive, that you are here, that God is with you in this very moment. There is a sacred exchange that happens in rest. You release what you cannot carry, and God takes it without complaint. You lay down your vigilance, and God takes watch. You stop striving, and God continues working. This exchange is not weakness, it is trust. You may not feel hopeful tonight. That is okay. God can carry hope for you. You may not feel strong. That is okay too. God's strength does not depend on yours. You may feel like you are barely holding on. And still, God is holding you. As the night deepens, let your heart be reminded that this moment is not wasted. Rest is not lost time. Stillness is not failure. Silence is not absence. God is present here doing quiet work that does not announce itself but leaves lasting peace in its wake. Let yourself drift now. Let the edges of the day blur. Let your thoughts soften. There is nothing you need to accomplish before sleep. There is nothing you need to prove. You are loved without effort. You are held without condition. And as sleep finally takes you, let this truth settle into the deepest part of your soul, gentle and sure. When you felt like giving up, when your strength was gone and your words had run out, God did not step back. He stayed close. He stayed gentle. He stayed faithful. As the quiet holds steady and the night seems to stretch without effort, there is a soft assurance settling over you like a gentle covering. God is not overwhelmed by the depth of your weariness. He is not uncertain about what you need. He knows how to meet you in ways that do not demand energy or explanation. He meets you with presence, with patience, with a love that does not rush or fade. There are moments when the heart grows so tired that even hope feels like something you cannot reach for anymore. When faith feels more like memory than experience. God understands that place. He does not shame it. He does not correct it harshly. He draws near to it. Scripture reminds us that God is close to the brokenhearted, that He saves those who are crushed in spirit, not after they recover. Right in the middle of the crushing. Think of the night Jesus spent alone before the cross, aware of what was coming, carrying sorrow deeper than words. Even then, He trusted the Father with His exhaustion, His fear, His humanity. That same understanding compassion now rests with you. Jesus is not distant from your tiredness. He knows it from the inside. As your breathing remains slow and even, allow your heart to release the belief that you must always understand what God is doing to trust Him. Trust does not require clarity. It requires relationship. And that relationship is secure, even when answers are not yet visible. God is not hiding from you. He is simply working in ways that unfold gently over time. There is a deep kindness in remembering that God's love does not depend on how spiritually awake you feel. You do not need to feel inspired, focused, or emotionally strong for Him to be present. His nearness is not a reward for effort. It is a gift rooted in His character. Perhaps there are prayers you have prayed so many times that they now feel worn, like they have lost their edge. God has not grown tired of hearing them. He does not dismiss repetition born from pain. Each time you bring the same burden to Him, He receives it with the same care as the first time. His patience does not wear thin. As the night deepens, imagine God gently reminding you that you are allowed to rest without fear. The world does not depend on your vigilance. Your life does not unravel because you close your eyes. God remains fully attentive while you sleep. He watches over what you cannot. Think of the promise spoken through Isaiah, that those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. Waiting does not always look like doing nothing. Sometimes it looks like resting when everything in you feels restless. Sometimes it looks like trusting God with the quiet spaces where nothing seems to change. Renewal often begins there. There may be parts of you that feel fragile tonight. Places where disappointment has left tenderness behind. God handles those places with care. He does not press on them harshly. He covers them gently, allowing healing to come slowly, safely, in its proper time. As sleep draws closer, let your thoughts become fewer and softer. You do not need to resolve anything before you rest. You do not need to be ready for tomorrow yet. God will meet you there when the time comes. For now, it is enough to rest in His presence. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not failing because you feel weary. You are loved. You are seen. You are carried by a God whose strength does not waver, whose compassion does not diminish, whose faithfulness does not end. Let the night take you gently. Let rest come naturally. And hold this quiet truth close as you drift deeper into sleep. When you felt like giving up, God was not disappointed in you. He was drawing closer, surrounding you with care, and staying with you through every quiet hour. As the quiet deepens into something almost sacred, there is a sense that time itself has slowed to match the rhythm of your breath. In this stillness, God is not hurried. He is not anxious. He is not pulling you forward before you are ready. He is simply present, fully attentive, holding space for you to rest without fear or expectation. This is not a pause in your story. It is a place of care within it. There are moments when life feels like it has taken more than it has given, when strength feels spent and hope feels thinner than it once was. God does not deny those moments. He does not gloss over the cost of endurance. He sees the toll it has taken on your heart, the way weariness has settled quietly over time. And instead of asking more from you, he offers himself more fully to you. Think of the night Jacob wrestled with God, refusing to let go until he received a blessing. That struggle happened in darkness, in uncertainty, in a place where Jacob was confronted with his own weakness. Yet it was there that God met him most personally, changing him, blessing him, marking him with a new identity. Some of the most meaningful encounters with God happen not in moments of confidence, but in moments of surrender. As your body rests, let your soul rest too. Let go of the inner pressure to be okay, to be strong, to be resolved. God is not waiting for you to reach a certain state before he stays close. He is already here, fully committed, fully present, fully loving. There is a quiet truth that often goes unnoticed. God's love does not grow louder when you are strong, nor does it grow quieter when you are weak. It remains constant, steady, unwavering. Even now, as your thoughts soften and your awareness drifts, his care remains fixed on you, attentive to every detail. Perhaps there are places in your heart where disappointment has made you cautious, where hope feels risky because it has hurt before. God understands that caution. He does not demand reckless faith. He invites gentle trust, the kind that can exist even alongside fear. You do not have to rush into hope. God is patient enough to walk with you there slowly. As sleep draws nearer, imagine God gently placing peace over you like a covering, not heavy, not restrictive, but comforting and warm. Imagine him quieting the anxious thoughts that tend to rise in the dark, not by force, but by reassurance. You are safe, you are seen, you are held. There is a promise woven throughout Scripture that God restores the soul, not just the body, not just the mind, the soul, the deepest part of you that grows tired when life has been heavy for too long. Restoration may not always feel dramatic. Often it begins quietly, with rest, with presence, with the simple assurance that you do not have to carry everything alone. Think of the gentle way Jesus spoke to those who were weary, never demanding more than they could give, never shaming them for their need. His invitation was always the same. Come, rest, receive. That invitation has not changed. It is extended to you tonight without condition. As the night holds you, let your breathing remain slow and easy. Let your muscles soften. Let your thoughts fade into the background. You do not need to be alert. You do not need to be prepared. God is watching over you with care that does not sleep. You may wake tomorrow, still facing challenges, still carrying questions, still unsure of what lies ahead. But you will not face any of it alone. God will meet you there just as faithfully as he meets you here. His grace will be enough. His strength will be available. His presence will remain. For now, rest is enough. This quiet is enough. This nearness is enough. And as sleep carries you deeper into peace, let this gentle assurance remain with you like a soft whisper in the dark. When you felt like giving up, God did not pull away. He stayed close, holding you through the night, and he will still be there when the morning comes. As the night settles into its deepest calm, there is a sacred gentleness unfolding around you, as though God Himself has drawn nearer to remind you that this quiet is not empty. It is full of care, full of watchfulness, full of love that does not need to speak loudly to be real. You are not drifting alone through these hours. You are being kept moment by moment by a God who knows how much you needed this rest. There is a tenderness in realizing that God does not only meet us in moments of triumph or clarity, but also in moments of surrender, when the heart has finally grown quiet because it has no more strength to strive. These moments are not signs of defeat. They are places of refuge. They are where grace settles most naturally, where love feels less like a concept and more like a presence. Think of the night when Jesus stood before His disciples after the resurrection, entering a locked room filled with fear and confusion. His first words were not correction or instruction, but peace. Peace be with you. He knew their hearts were still racing, their minds still full of questions, and yet He offered peace first, knowing that everything else could wait. God still speaks that same peace into tired hearts today. As your breathing remains slow and steady, allow your heart to hear that peace without effort. You do not have to understand it to receive it. You do not have to feel worthy of it to accept it. Peace is given because God is present, not because circumstances are resolved. There are parts of your life that may feel unfinished, loose ends that linger, worries that do not resolve easily. God is not unsettled by those things. He is not stressed by what remains undone. He sees the full picture, the beginning and the end, and He holds it with calm assurance. You are safe to rest, even while things remain unresolved. There is a quiet strength growing in you even now, though it may not feel like it. Strength that comes not from pushing harder, but from being restored gently. God rebuilds His children from the inside out, often in ways that cannot be rushed or measured. Rest is not wasted time. It is sacred ground. Think of the psalm that says God leads us beside still waters and restores our soul. Restoration does not always happen in motion. It often happens in stillness. In moments like this, when the heart finally loosens its grip and allows God to work quietly beneath the surface. You may not feel joy tonight. That is okay. Joy will return in its time. You may not feel hopeful. That is okay too. Hope can be held for you until you are ready to carry it again. God is not asking you to feel anything specific right now. He is simply inviting you to rest in His nearness. As sleep grows deeper, imagine God's presence like a gentle light around you, not bright or overwhelming, but steady and warm. A light that does not flicker, a light that does not fade, a light that reminds you that even in darkness, you are not without guidance or care. There may be moments when the mind stirs, when old fears or memories try to surface. When that happens, let them pass gently. You do not need to wrestle with them tonight. God knows where they are. He knows how to tend to them in His time. For now, it is enough to rest. There is something deeply comforting in knowing that God does not measure your faith by how awake or alert you are, but by His own faithfulness. Even as you sleep, His promises remain active. His care remains constant. His love remains unbroken. You are allowed to let go now, allowed to trust that the world will keep turning, that your life will continue to be held, that nothing precious will be lost because you chose to rest. God has been carrying you far longer than you realize, and He is not about to stop now. As you drift deeper into sleep, let this quiet truth settle into the deepest part of you. You do not have to be strong tonight. You do not have to be certain. You do not have to have answers. You are loved. You are seen. You are held. And when morning comes, God will still be there. The same God who watched over you through the night will greet you with new mercy, gentle strength, and grace, enough for whatever the day holds. Rest now. Breathe softly. Let peace settle. When you felt like giving up, God did not turn away. He stayed. He carried you through the night. And He will continue to walk with you, one gentle moment at a time. As the quiet deepens even further, there is a sense that the night itself has become a sanctuary, a gentle place where nothing is demanded and nothing is missing. God is here in this stillness, not as a distant observer, but as a loving presence who understands the language of tired hearts. He knows how much courage it took to make it through the day. He knows how heavy your thoughts have been, how long you have carried things that were never meant to be carried alone. And in this moment, He offers you something precious. Rest without fear. There are times when weariness feels layered, as though one tired season has been built upon another, until even remembering what it felt like to be lighthearted seems difficult. God does not look at that weariness with disappointment. He looks at it with compassion. He sees the places where you kept going even when joy felt distant. He sees the quiet faith that did not shout or sparkle, but endured. That kind of faith is deeply precious to Him. In Scripture, there is a beautiful image of God as a shepherd who carries the lambs close to His heart, not pushing them forward, not demanding they keep pace, carrying them, holding them near. This is how God treats the weary. He does not rush them through rest. He does not shame them for slowing down. He gathers them close and carries them until strength returns naturally. As your breathing remains slow and even, allow your heart to believe that you are being carried right now. You do not have to understand how. You do not have to feel it strongly. It is enough to know that God's care does not depend on your awareness. It is constant, steady, and faithful. There may be parts of your heart that still ache, even as rest settles in. Unanswered questions, unspoken grief, hopes that feel bruised by time. God is not ignoring those places. He is tending to them with a patience that honors their depth. Healing does not always rush in with sudden relief. Sometimes it arrives quietly, gently, allowing wounds to close at a pace that feels safe. Think of the story of Joseph, forgotten in prison, Years passing without explanation, dreams seemingly buried beneath disappointment. From the outside, it looked like God had gone silent. But God was shaping something deeper than circumstance. When the time came, restoration arrived in ways Joseph could never have imagined. God was faithful in the waiting, even when it felt invisible. Your waiting too is seen. Your nights of endurance are not lost. As sleep continues to draw you closer, let go of the idea that you must always be moving forward to be valued. Sometimes faith looks like resting. Sometimes obedience looks like stopping. God values your stillness just as much as your action. He values your trust just as much as your effort. There is a quiet humility in allowing yourself to rest when everything in you feels unfinished. That humility opens space for God to work in ways that striving never could. When you rest, you are saying without words, I trust you to hold what I cannot. That trust is deeply pleasing to God. Imagine God's presence surrounding you now, not pressing in, not overwhelming, but gently enclosing you like a calm, protective warmth. Imagine Him guarding your sleep, keeping watch over every concern you have released, attending to every detail with care that does not falter. You are not alone in this tiredness. You are not misunderstood by God. He knows exactly how you feel, even in ways you cannot name. He understands the weight of simply continuing when everything feels heavy. And He remains close, offering peace that does not depend on circumstances. As your thoughts grow quieter, remember that God's promises do not fade with fatigue. They remain steady, even when your emotions feel uncertain. He has promised to be with you always, to never leave you, to never forsake you. That promise holds firm tonight, just as it will tomorrow. There may be a subtle fear that this rest will not be enough, that you will wake still tired, still unsure. God knows that fear too. And He gently reminds you that rest is not always about immediate change. Sometimes it is about renewal that unfolds gradually, quietly, layer by layer. Trust the process. Trust His care. Let your body sink more fully into rest. Now, let your breathing remain soft and natural. Let the day slip further away. There is nothing you need to revisit tonight. There is nothing you need to prepare for. God is here, and that is enough. As sleep deepens, allow this truth to settle into the deepest part of you. You are not forgotten in your weariness. You are not overlooked in your quiet endurance. You are deeply loved by a God who draws closest when you feel like giving up, and who remains faithfully by your side through every silent hour. As the quiet of the night continues to cradle you, there is a gentle assurance settling deeper within your soul, like a calm tide that does not rush or retreat. God is still here. He has not stepped away as the hours pass. His presence does not grow thin with time. It remains steady, watchful, and kind, holding you in a peace that does not depend on how deeply you sleep or how clearly you feel. There are moments when weariness is like it is seeped into the bones, when even rest feels fragile because the heart has been tired for so long. God understands that kind of tiredness. He does not confuse it with weakness or lack of faith. He sees it as the mark of someone who has loved deeply, hoped honestly, and endured quietly. And he meets that tiredness with care that is gentle enough not to overwhelm. Think of the way God spoke to his people through the Psalms, inviting them again and again to lie down in safety, to trust that even in darkness, he was near. These words were written by people who knew fear, loss, and exhaustion firsthand. Their faith was not polished or effortless. It was honest, sometimes trembling, often whispered, and God welcomed it all. As your breathing remains slow and easy, let yourself believe that you do not need to hold everything together tonight. You are not responsible for keeping your world intact while you sleep. God remains fully attentive. He is watching over what matters to you, holding what feels uncertain, guarding what feels fragile. Nothing precious is slipping away while you rest. There is a quiet comfort in knowing that God works not only in moments of action, but also in moments of stillness. Some of the most profound healing happens when the body rests and the mind grows quiet. God restores in ways that do not announce themselves, renewing strength beneath the surface, gently repairing what has been worn thin. Think of the way Jesus often withdrew to quiet places to rest and pray, stepping away from crowds and demands. He understood the necessity of rest, the holiness of stillness. If rest was essential for him, it is certainly allowed for you. You are not failing by resting. You are following a rhythm God himself honors. As sleep deepens, allow the edges of worry to soften. Thoughts that once felt sharp and urgent can loosen their grip now. You do not need to solve them. You do not need to follow them to their conclusion. God already knows where they lead, and he is more than capable of guiding you through them in his time. There may be parts of your heart that feel tender tonight, places where disappointment or loss has left quiet scars. God does not rush healing in those places. He approaches them with patience, allowing restoration to unfold gently. He is not trying to force you into joy before you are ready. He is simply staying with you until peace feels safe again. As the night continues, imagine God's love surrounding you like a calm presence that does not press or demand. It simply is a steady reassurance that you belong, that you are valued, that your life is held with intention. Even when you feel small or tired or uncertain, his love does not waver. There is a deep peace in remembering that God has carried others through nights like this before. You are not the first to feel weary, and you will not be the last to discover that God's faithfulness is strongest when human strength runs out. His track record is one of presence, compassion, and quiet rescue. Let your body sink a little deeper now. Let your breathing remain soft and unforced. Let the stillness do its gentle work. You do not need to hurry toward morning. God is with you in this hour, just as He will be when the light returns. As sleep settles more fully, hold this truth close, like a warm whisper in the dark. You are not alone in your tiredness. You are not forgotten in your quiet endurance. You are deeply loved by a God who draws closest when you feel like giving up, and who remains faithfully by your side through every silent hour of the night.